Here on Tori with your hometown station weather. A mix of sun and clouds today, looking at highs in the upper 60s, overnight lows in the mid-50s, more clouds and sun tomorrow. We should see a high of 70. Clocks will fall back 1 hour this Sunday, November 5th at 2 a.m. for the end of daylight saving time. Along with changing clocks, our Valley's officials say it's a good time to go over annual emergency preparedness procedures, including changing your batteries in your smoke detectors. For the latest on news and local events, go to hometownstation.com.
This is Arif Halaby on your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS.
Hey, welcome to the show, Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. I'm Arif Halaby, along with special guest Logan Halaby. Similar last name, that's my oldest son. Talking about your family's finances, getting out of debt, managing money, of course, planning for your future and your retirement. Look, a lot of folks, we're going to get into today small business ownership. And I don't care if you have a small business that is a corporation, like a C Corp or an LLC or an S Corp, or if you have a small business that's just a sole proprietorship running out of your back bedroom, garage, or even your car. There are some retirement options that you can have and the things that you can do to benefit you and your family. If you don't know these, you're never going to use them. And the challenge with a lot of this is when you are a small business owner, you are the chief cook and bottle washer, they say, you know, everybody from the top to the bottom, working and doing everything most of the time all on your own, certainly in the beginning parts of your business development. Logan, you grew up pretty much your entire life seeing me as a self-employed business person. I mean, of course, we have quite a few employees now, but earlier in the days, you know, when we were 21 years ago, I guess I started 21 years ago. 21 years ago, you were just about 1 year old. Actually, you didn't even have your first birthday when, because you turned 22 recently, but about a month before you were 1 year old is when we started in the financial services world. So probably most of your adult life and conscious life, I should say, you have known us to be small business owners.
And it's something that's not normal for me to know anything else, and that's all I've known.
Yeah, so the conversations are going to be different around our house probably and the dinner table, because the way we operate in our family is if there's a question or a problem or something at work, or if we're trying to deal with stuff, it's not something that we 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, you know, Memorial Day, Martin Luther King and Labor Day holidays. It's ridiculous, right? When you're a small business owner, you're up at midnight sending emails, you're up at 2 in the morning to get an early start, to get to the appointments on the other side of town. Whatever it is, you are somebody who puts a lot more effort than the 40 hours a week. So here's a question to you, Logan, and didn't even know he was going to be on the radio until about 5 minutes ago. Here's a question for you. In the conversations at home, have you seen any extra stress or problems? I'm trying to make sure I can get the right answer out of them. Any stress or problems from the fact of owning your own business? You know, conversations that happen.
On occasion, there's always been times when it's a great month and everything's well, and then sometimes a downturn and trying to struggle a little bit, make sure everything works. But it's a cycle.
Yeah, I think your kids, especially if they're young people that are trying to figure out, you know, mom and dad transitioning from a employment, right, a job that has regular holidays, you can call in sick. Mom, just call in sick. You know, when you're a small business owner, there is no such thing. It's like being a mom, right? If you're a mom at home, there is no such thing as calling in sick. You're on call 24/7 for many, many years. So that is similar to being a small business owner in the sense that there's always something that needs to get done. And I think the reason you step into that role is because you want freedom. Right now, not the same kind of freedom, because you're going to say freedom, if you at my job at 5:01, the bell whistle blows and off I go. Yeah, for a lot of people, but when you are a small business owner, you sometimes need to be doing things later at night. So in the afternoon and in between when the kids go to bed. So where does that strategy come into play? Well, look, retirement is key, because for you to go from 100 miles an hour down to retirement, if you don't plan properly, because you're busy taking care of everything else and everybody else, If you don't plan properly, then you're going to have wasted all of the bad parts about being a self-employed person, which is, sometimes your family time isn't your family time, right? We've had conversations at the dinner table about different family and financial issues.
And it's definitely something that the kids get to see sometimes behind the scenes and what's going on. And a lot of this is, there's a transition going on for you as well, when you started as working for a real job and then transitioned into self-employment, and it was 50-50 for a little bit in that time. And as you transitioned, it wasn't overnight.
Yeah, and for a lot of folks, financially speaking, we won't get into there for a second, but financially speaking, you've got to keep in mind that transition, that process, is something that has to be laid out, because the extra financial burden on your family is significant. My biggest concern, though, is you going through 20 years of self-employment or more, and you end up at the end where your employees, great, they have a future, they plan properly, they have a nice car, they're going to take a great vacation, they're going to have a retirement plan, their own maybe they purchase their own primary residence or rental property, right? They have their own life, but who took care of you? Because just like a mom, a mother's job is to take care of her family, and a dad's job is to take care of his family. When you're a self-employed business person and you have 1 or 2 or 4 employees, your job is to take care of them. They get paychecks before you do. And so this war on the middle class that seems to be coming from a place that is very bizarre. I don't understand why the middle class is getting all the hits these days. But this war on the middle class saying, oh, you guys are greedy, or you're the rich, or you're the this. Do you understand? Self-employed people, small business owners, folks with little corporations that are not 250 employees, we're the ones that employ people. We're the ones that pay more taxes because we have to pay payroll tax. Right? Payroll tax is something that happens whether or not you have to pay income tax. The studies came out, because everybody was complaining. The studies came out this week that 95% of the federal income tax is paid by the top 5% of workers. Do you realize that? Is it 95%?
And that type of trend holds true in California. The majority of the income tax in the state is paid by a very small percentage, which means that the state's revenue is coming from a very small subsection of the population.
That's right. Look, the top 1%, let me get you those exact numbers here, because I want to make sure that the top 1% pay 39% of the share of the income tax. About 40%, we'll call it. Top 1%. 4 out of, now you might say that's not fair because they make more money. That's great. So that means their work effort, they should give up money so you can take Monday through Friday off, right? Or work Monday through Friday and have the holidays off. Because a lot of that top 1% are small business owners. The top 50% of the shareholders pay nearly all of the income tax. Over 97%. That's the number I wanted. 50%, 97%. That means the other half pay almost nothing. The other half vote. They're the ones. You've heard me say this before. I'm not saying to stop voting. Gosh, pay attention for a minute. What I'm saying is, when you go to a place like Santa Monica that has rent control, and you go out and you say, the residents of Santa Monica get to vote rent control. And they all say, yeah, you know what? I don't want my rent to go up. You all know those stories of the lady that lives 2 blocks from the beach, and she lives in a great little 2-bedroom, and she pays $6.95 a month. This is great. She's lived there for 31 years. Well, that's wonderful. The reason that she pays so little is because the owner is not allowed by law to raise the rent past a certain amount each year. So the owner has a beautiful piece of land with a crummy building on it because nobody's dying and nobody's moving out, so you can't charge the higher rent. So now what you have in a complex is one person paying $695, another person paying $2,000 next door to them. Doesn't matter their income. One person can make $1 million a year, but they just happen to have this place way back when. And then they both have an equal vote. And if the owner doesn't live in the city of Santa Monica, if the owner lives in another city, and it says, we're going to vote whether we should have rent control, and all of the residents say, oh, yes, I think we should keep our rent low. Really? Who's going to not vote for that? Right? It's the old adage, you got to rob Peter to pay Paul, and you'll always have Paul's support. When you take from one to give to the other, the one receiving goes, yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good idea. That is fair. And
then when it stops, who's going to be complaining?
That's right. And when you call up and you're the $695 a month, two bedroom, 2 blocks from the ocean, and you call up and you say, you know what, the stairs need to be repainted and the pool needs to be redone. What are they going to say? Look, we don't have any money. Where do you expect me to come up with this money? The only reason there's money that comes into a building is because the rents come in. They pay the expenses, and the owner, for taking the risk, gets a profit. The reason I bring that up is because there's no difference than 50% of Americans voting for these tax increases. Same thing in the state of California. About half pay nothing in income tax. And when you go to that and you say, okay, what do you think? Should we have a gas tax? Oh, yeah, I think we should. Oh, should we spend $1 billion? Oh, yeah, let's spend it.
People who don't have cars voted for the gas tax.
And they hide it down some environmental baloney, and yet now you become what? The largest state in the country. We have a mass migration of people leaving the state of California. Not everybody, just the ones with money and jobs. If you have a job or a small business, you leave California. The regulation, the taxes, the fees, the permits. In other countries, you have to walk into the city office and you bribe, or you say, hey, here's $50 or $500. Can you just make sure my plans get through? Yeah, and the guy behind the counter winks and nods, and he takes his 50, puts it in his pocket. Today, in California and Santa Clarita, we don't do that. We just say, you need another permit for an awning. You have to put an awning in the back of your building. That's a permit. Just go to the $235. The reason the people in countries and in cities and states that don't accept bribes is because they have incredible bribes. It's called an amazing pension. It's called health care paid for. It's called vacation pay. It's called sick time. They're taken care of, but you got to pay that permit fee. Do we need it for some things? Of course. But does it seem like it's gotten out of control? I don't know. I think so. I think the small business owner looks left and right and says, does it make sense for me to stay in California or in Los Angeles County? And a lot of them, folks, you can think something differently. I have them come to me as a client. And the second word out of their mouth is, we are thinking about leaving California because they can't afford to stay in California. It used to not be that way. It is not normal. It used to be everybody would come here. And now people are leaving. When are you going to wake up? Look, you can say left or right or Republican or Democrat. I don't care. At the end of the day, it's people are leaving, and they're leaving for a reason. And it's not because they're making millions of dollars and their families are seeing a wonderful lifestyle. It's because they're struggling. So as a small business owner, I want you to do the right things to start putting a plan together so that you can have a retirement. Here's number one. Number one, I need you to sit down, start putting together a plan that says every time a dollar comes in, I don't care if it's coming in from a client or a company or an invoice, every dollar that comes in, I want you to take 20%, 20, and set it aside. Do that for a month. Don't put it in a retirement account just yet. You got to get used to the habit. Because if you work for a normal employer, they're going to put money aside for you. And you would put. But when you're both of them, surprise, you have to put both. So you put 20% aside for you and your family. You can do so when the time is right in things called a Roth IRA. Logan, describe what a Roth, R-O-T-H, IRA is.
Roth IRA is a concept that was invented about 20 so years ago in the 90s during the budget debates, and it was named after a senator, Senator Roth, who put his name on it in exchange for his support. But basically it means that you put money into your Roth, it's taxed at whatever your normal rate is, depending on your income, all the different factors. And once it's taxed, that's it. Not taxed again, and it can grow, do whatever investments, go wherever, and you don't have to, it's not taxed, period, when it comes out.
And what this does is it allows people to not have other income taxed. It surprises me today how many people still don't even know that this exists. And if you are a working person and you're under the age of 35, you were in school when this was created. This should have been shouted from the mountaintops. And yet so many folks don't even know that this is even a possibility. And you know why? Because your teachers don't even know that it's a possibility. Because your parents don't even know that it's a possibility. Because that's the only place we're going to learn from. Now, of course, when you're older, it's called the internet. But before that, you're going to hear these things at the dinner table. And why I asked Logan to be part of this is because at our dinner table, when the kids were little, we would talk about this. We would talk about Roth IRAs, business taxes, regulations and fees and the headaches of trying to build a building and the problems and the new things that would pop up every other week, right? They saw this. They weren't on the other side saying, oh, rich people bad, let's go get them. Everybody thinks that rich people did something wrong to get their money. Now you might say, oh, no, I don't, Arif. No, I don't. Great. Then why is it you can still go into a room and have a conversation about somebody? Not about their race, religion, sexual orientation. No. But you can go into a room and you can say things like, I was trying to find a parking spot, but man, this lady in the S500 Mercedes, and you know how those people are. Oh, yeah, they think they know what. I was trying to do. This guy had one of those Armani suits, and oh, God. You can say that. You can pick on rich people all day long. Oh, she tried. I got cut off by a Mercedes. You know how those people think they own the world. Or this Maserati Ferrari boy, though. Oh, yeah, of course. If it's that guy, now we know who he is. But you couldn't say that about anything else. Race, religion, sexual orientation. But you can still pick on rich people. Watch what you say to your children. Because all of us can do it. We do it every day. We make mistakes every day, right? You got to catch yourself. You got to learn. You got to put a different mindset on. And it's no different from the race, religion, all that stuff as it is to discrimination against wealth. Keep both hands on the wheel, but I'm not worried about you raising one of them. If you've ever been hired by a poor person. Oh, wait, you haven't. Or let's say you're in sales or you're at a restaurant. You own a business. You tell me how many poor people come in and become your... I'm not saying poor people are bad. Of course not, you guys. But understand, you can't have a war on one side. You have to have a war on decency and fairness. Not in fairness that the government comes up with, because that's a tool for manipulation. It's fairness in your financial life. 1 + 1 is 2. Whether you feel like it's 4, whether you want to protest for 14 days that 1 + 1 is 6, I get it, it's still 2. You can't forget. The pension system has been a payoff to the lower middle class and the middle class. And the pension system is for government workers mostly. 16 out of 19% of Americans. So nearly all, like 90-something% of Americans that have a pension work for some sort of governmental agency. And you understand that that's a payoff. It used to be a payoff for lower wages. Well, at least they'll have, at least I have a pension. Oh, okay, that's cool. You got a good job, you got a pension. But when you're paying higher wages and pensions to the public sector employees, you have to understand that the people that pay those dollars are the private sector small business owners, mostly. Now, that means that they are going to work, they're making some money, they're going to give some to the tax world, and they're going to keep some for themselves. You have to set aside 20% in your own bucket, because nobody else is going to take care of you. You don't have a public pension. And you need to, as a small business owner, have the conversation with your children. Don't let them just see the bad, right? Sometimes we want to complain. Hey, remember this in high school, right? You were dating this guy, and he was a great guy, and you told all your girlfriends, and they all just admired you, and they thought you were the greatest until you got mad at him. Then you went and you told all your girlfriends, oh, he was a jerk, and they said, that's right, he is. My gosh, what What a bad guy that he did that to you or said that. And then 3 weeks later, you're back together. But what do you still remember? The bad news. What do your friends, when they see him, the bad news? When your kids only hear the bad news, even if business returns, even if business is awesome, and all they ever hear is the complaining and the whining, then they are never going to want to be an independent business owner. They're going to say, oh, forget it. I'll go get a job where I get, I work 8.5 months out of the year. I work for the school district. I'll take that job. They're not going to want to be entrepreneurs because the only thing they see is the bad side. So it's your responsibility to be honest with them. Tell them the pros and cons. Let them see their choices. It's not right for everybody, but at least you don't cut them at the legs.
And this doesn't mean that you hide the bad things from them or show them only the good stuff. It's a balance. There's some great benefits to being self-employed. Even if you're just doing it on the side, you've got a part-time job or full-time somewhere, working on the side to build something, let them see both of what's going on.
That's exactly right. And by doing that, what you're doing is giving them freedom options. Because if you don't have options in your life, just like taking them to college and saying, you can only get 1 degree, you can only study in this field. Oh, but Mom, they have art and they have English and history. Nope, computer science. I don't really like it. You wouldn't do that. It's the same thing. Instead of saying, son, daughter, you can have any small business you want. And today with this thing called the internet, you don't even have to go to business school. Oh, wait, did he say that? He did. You want to learn how to run a balance sheet? All you do is go into Yahoo and say, how do I, ready, start a small business? What are the financial reports that I need to know? You can learn between TED Talks and YouTube. My goodness, it's just about everywhere. All right, we're going to take a quick break, folks. When we come back, we're going to get into the type of accounts that you can have. So grab a pen and paper because it's going to be a little bit of numbers, a little bit of percentages possibly, and certainly some numbers. So grab your pen and paper. You're going to have a chance to listen to myself, Arif Halaby, and as well as Logan on your place for news, talk, and information. I'm Arif Halaby on KHTS. This is your hometown station.
You worry because your mom and dad aren't as active and are finding it more challenging to live on their own. The answer? Premier Assisted Living Community opening in Santa Clarita. Oakmont of Santa Clarita, now leasing. Located on Newhall Ranch Road, Oakmont of Santa Clarita, bringing comfort and luxury to assisted living. Your parents can enjoy 5-star amenities and panoramic views in a world-class community. No other assisted living community has this kind of luxury and amenities in our valley. Visit oakmontofsantaclarita.com.
Drugs or alcohol abuse can tear a family apart. In Santa Clarita, just like everywhere else, it's an epidemic. The Way Out Recovery is here to help. Call them now at 296-4444 or visit them on the web at thewayoutrocoveryscv.com. The Way Out offers outpatient treatment for adolescents, adults, and family members. The Way Out is compassionate, caring, professional, and confidential. You and your family don't have to suffer any longer. Call the Way Out Recovery now, 296-4444, or visit thewayoutrocoveryscv.com and make an appointment. Asking for help is the first step.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty, and I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
Coming soon to the Canyon Santa Clarita, Gin Blossoms, Eddie Money, Chris Christopherson, Timothy B. Schmidt, Petula Clark, Tower of Power, Berlin, Todd Rundgren, Jefferson Starship, John Hyatt, The Spinners, Doc In, Lynch Mod, English Beat, Sinbad, Cinderella's Tom Kiefer, Ricky Lee Jones, Ambrosia, Donovan Frankenreiter, Boogie Nights, and many more. Soulful Sunday brunch every Sunday, country nights on Wednesdays, and they're the perfect place to host your holiday parties and special events. The Canyon Santa Clarita, where music meets the soul. Tickets available through Ticketmaster.
City of Hope is a leader in cancer research and treatment, and there's a City of Hope location right here in Santa Clarita, eliminating a major barrier in the fight against cancer: distance to quality care. Santa Clarita has the advantages of City of Hope's renowned clinical expertise, compassionate care, and access to clinical trials. Find out more at cityofhope.org/Santa Clarita or call 661-799-1999.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
This is your place for news, talk, and information. Your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
Welcome back to the Total Financial Hour, your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Arif Halaby, along with Logan Halaby, talking about your family's finances, of course. We always say getting out of debt, managing your money, and planning for retirement. Well, those things are really involved with the real boring, right? If you talk to anybody who's a strategic, investor or a long-term investor, they'll tell you it's actually pretty straightforward, simple, and boring. Because it's not as sexy as day traders or guys that get in there and they're buying, or folks that flip properties. This is a longer term idea, and we're not going to talk about individual investment choices because that's up to you and your financial advisor, and we'll give you some concepts. But the concepts I want to focus on is safety, right? When I say safety, what do I mean by that? I mean, I want your retirement to be in a place where when the market goes down, you don't go backwards. If your financial team only talks about the good things and not about the bad things, like, oh, the market has gone down 50% or more 3 out of the last 15 years. Doesn't mean anything in the next 15 years. But if you're thinking 15 years from now you planned on being retired, or you're about ready to be retired, you can't afford another 50% decline, because you can't go to the grocery store and say, hey, listen, I am better than my neighbor. My neighbor lost 50%, I lost 20. So, Mr. Grocery Store owner, I would like a 20% discount on my groceries. Or you go to the lady that owns the restaurant, you say, hi, ma'am, I know this is an amazing restaurant, it's really good food, but I'd like a 20% discount on our meal today, because my food, shelter, clothing that used to come from your job, your paycheck, now it comes from your retirement savings. And since that went down, what would you do if you had a pay cut at work?
How many people would riot, quit, find something else if your boss just said, sorry guys, market's down 20, 30, 40, 50%? That's gone.
Imagine if you're a small business owner and you have your employees and you walk in. We had to do something like this. In 2008, I had a 30-day notice that they were cutting our compensation by 60%. 30 days. And they said, oh, and you have a dozen employees, agents that worked for you. Good luck. I'm like, what do you mean? Are you kidding? And everybody said sorry. Because, as if I'm supposed to take that to the bank. I get it, but give me solutions. So when we were working through this, we had to come up with the plan that said, all right, folks, we're retooling our compensation schedule. You're going to make a little less now, but you can make more later if we have more production, if you're busier, if we have more clients that come in the door. Many of them didn't like that. Would you be surprised? In fact, it was a hard, very hard thing to do. And they act as if, right, employees, not because they're bad, but they act as if, oh gosh, they take it all personal, as if you're the one that's making this decision. And it's not the economy or the market. But when you are retired, you're going to have to understand, whatever stock, bond, mutual fund, REIT, it doesn't matter, whatever you own, when it goes down, it is not a personal thing. It's not as if it hates you, so it's going to go after you. It's a very simple thing. Go ahead, Logan.
It's people treat this very emotionally, but sometimes things are outside of our control. We just have to live with it and figure out the best solutions.
And when that process takes place, here are some things that I need you to do when the good times come. When the good times come, you need to set aside money. Here's what we do. We create something called a SEP, Self-Employed Person's IRA. That's pre-tax money. So that means when you put money in, you get the tax break today. Now, the Roth IRA that Logan was talking about was very interesting because that's post-tax money, just like the $20 in your pocket or in your purse. Those dollars go directly into an account. It grows. When you take it out, where you take it out, the Roth never pays taxes again under current law. Now, what happens, though, when it comes to your SEP, Self-Employed Persons IRA, Simplified Employee Pension, the SEP stands for different things depending on who you talk to. All right. But the SEP allows you to put in 25% of your income. A quarter. You heard me say set aside at least 20%, but there's a maximum in your Roth IRAs.
A Roth IRA is maxed to $5,500, assuming you've made that much, if you're under age 50, and $6,500, you get a little bit more to catch up if you're between 50 and above.
Yeah. And so the Roth IRA program that you have decides on where it's invested, the fees, the licenses. So what you don't do is you don't sit around and say, hey, I'm just going to put my money at risk without a strategy. Certainly you want to have some spread out here. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's what your grandma said, right? You keep away from that. But what you also do is you also understand that you are not somebody who is sitting around and saying, well, although I'm going to put my money at risk here, I'm just going to close my eyes. I'm just going to wait until 65 years old or 62 years old, close your eyes, waking up, poof, do you have money in there? If the market went up, great. You're rich. Nice.
It's really leaving your retirement to chance. Sounds like Vegas sometimes might be a safer option and more reliable than treating it just like that.
Yeah, a lot of your family's fortune is not going to be with the, was it the rabbit's foot? The rabbit's foot, cross your fingers, knock on wood. What else do we do? Throw salt.
Was that rabbit's foot lucky for the rabbit? He had 4 of them.
Yeah.
That's where he is now.
Maybe he gets to keep 3 and you have 1. Maybe that's the lucky part. I don't think for and large, most people are in a position, believe it or not, to take the type of chances that you're taking because you think that your only option, because Wall Street can only charge you a fee when your money is at risk. Did you know that? When your money is at risk, when you can lose your principal, Wall Street charges a fee. Wait, Arif, my guy says it's $35 a year. Okay, do you work for $35 a year? Of course not. There's fees, there's charges. Some accounts have M&E expenses. They have 12B1 fees. They have rider charges. Depending on the account, some 401k plans could have as much as 15, 16, 17 different fees. But the word fee actually means something. So when you say a fee, you go, oh, it's $35. Well, what about the other times that you take money out of my pocket and don't give me guaranteed results?
Those are expenses or charges, or they look the same, though.
Yeah. If it leaves okay, here's what you do. If it leaves my pocket and goes to yours, Mr. and Mrs. Broker, what am I getting for it? And when you have that answered and you look for the real number, here's a great example. A lady came into our office recently. She had $265,000 in her account. $265,000. It's a lot of money. She saved it for quite some time. At $265,000, she started saving and investing and opened this account, if you will, with about $200,000, and she did it 6 years ago. Okay? $200,000, 6 years ago. All right, that's not bad. She's gained $65,000. $65,000 in gain, 6 years. All right. Now, when we looked at the fees that she was being charged, and her fees were about a little more than 3, it's like 3.3%. So she was paying about $7,000 a year in fees. Times the same 6 years, $42,000 in fees. She worked her whole life, saved $200,000, opened up an account. The broker makes $42,000. Now maybe he doesn't keep it all. Maybe he's new. Maybe he doesn't own the building. Somebody gets it. His boss's boss. Somebody gets it. The broker, Wall Street, made $42,000 and she made $65,000. She's the one that worked for the $200,000 all those years. The broker didn't. If you were to say, listen, broker, I'll tell you what, you make me 65, I'll give you $5,000. Right? You make me, for every, I'll tell you what, if you make me $20,000, I'll probably give you 2 or 3. I'll give you 4,000. I think that I'll give you something. The more you make me, the more I'll give you. But why is it 1 for you, 1 for me, 2 for you, 1 for me? Right? When it's your money, it's because of this reason. They fee the same dollar over and over and over. Whether they made you new money, whether they lost you money, the Wall Street system is designed to fee the same money over and over. When does that matter to you? It matters to you in a couple of different ways. The first is ask them, is what you're getting me, what I am buying, is it worth it? And if the answer is yes, then awesome. Good for you. But don't think you're getting something that they're not telling you about. Okay? You need to ask yourself, what am I buying? Because I'm giving you $42,000. What did I buy for that? That's a big part of it, right? The other part of it is, these dollars have a job to do. What's the purpose? When money has a job, it allows you to live your purpose. When money doesn't have a good job, or it's not designed or in line with your purpose in life and retirement, then it's just a random act. It's the knock on wood, cross your fingers, get a rabbit's foot. That's where it falls down. It doesn't really have a spelled out purpose. Money's job equals your life's purpose.
And a lot of these factors with the purpose is it requires planning. Tossing money randomly in different directions and hoping something sticks isn't going to work. You have money that you need short term, the $20 in your pocket, in your wallet, purse, whatever. That's for lunch today. Maybe buy something for Halloween, whatever. A couple days worth. That's what it should be for. You have some longer term, a month or two, as what you need for your emergency fund in case something happens. And then really long-term kind of things is your kids' college, your retirement, saving up for a new purchase if you're buying a house or moving. Those are the long-term kind of things.
And that gives you the option to segment your financial life. When people retire, here's one of the biggest mistakes I've seen. When people retire and they take a lump sum payout, that's not a mistake. Sometimes that works. It's all a math problem. And they take this lump sum buyout, and then they turn around with that big chunk of money, and they use it like it's a savings account. But the job of it was retirement income. Instead, they're using it like a savings account. So they say, oh, I'm going to buy a new car, $20,000. Oh, I'm going to buy an RV, $30,000. Oh, I'm going to buy, and they just turn it into this put and take account. And as the value starts to drop and drop and drop, 2 years, 10 years from now, suddenly it's down to 0 or pretty close. So now what happens to your financial life? Now what happens when you sit around and you say, hey, my next step in life is to go and say, I have to go back to work. Right? We've seen that. People have come in with pensions that they bought out. We had one recently, a guy, a man who had worked for one of the legacy companies, one of the larger companies. So he was one of the 3% of Americans that have a pension from a private company. That's it. 3% of Americans, private company pension. Very small. And he chose the buyout option. So he had $700 and something thousand. He had $150,000 left. He's now in his late 60s, and he comes walking in. I said, oh my gosh, what happened to all the money? Well, over the last 10 years, my sister needed something, and I helped her out. Oh, and I helped out, my wife, she was sick, so we did some treatment. Okay. And, I just needed it. I did some work around the house, fixed up my car, my truck. It's great. Wonderful place. Look, when you cover up a poor financial decision with God, family, or the right thing to do, then there is no argument. Nobody can come into your life and say, oh, yeah, I know you think that helping out your sister, but don't help out your sister, right? You would say, hey, buddy, it's my family. So when you cover up a poor financial decision, instead of saying, how can I make both of these things work? And maybe not both of them at exactly the same highest perfect level, but both of them could still work, when you look at it and you ask yourself that question, now you have to say, all right, maybe I can't do everything I want to do. Because this bucket of money has a job, and that's to kick out on a monthly basis consistently a paycheck for you and your family.
And you apply the same kind of techniques to your retirement that you do to the shorter term money. You know, if you need X amount of dollars per month or per year, then the stuff and the funds that are going to provide for that this year and next year, those are a little more liquid, easily accessible. Something that you don't need for 5 years, that's the second half of your money, that can be locked up a little bit more. Somewhere you might get some better returns, something that's different because you don't need it yet. That's the backup for later.
And they each have a purpose and a job that is laid out early on in the beginning. When you are self-employed, paying down bad debt is very important because there is no sick time. So you need money set aside to pay down bad debt as you go. Equipment for your work, fine, let's schedule that out, pay that out. Bad debt against your whatever it might be, whether it's small business equipment, whether it could be even just credit card debt you had to use. A lot of small business people use their own personal credit to start their business. So don't damage it on one section and not reward you when things get better. When things are better, you're saving for a rainy day. I like 1 year of your business expenses. Not personal. Personal, I don't mind 6 months. But 1 year of your business expenses in a savings account, emergency account, checking, whatever it might be. Liquid and accessible. I don't know about before I start saving for retirement, but you better have that rather quickly. If that means I have $10,000, I should put it in my retirement or in my emergency account, my money market fund, fine. I would say go down money market if you have very little there. First place is to build up that, but not at the expense of retirement. You can put a little bit in each. But if it's 0-0, then I want you to go to a savings account for retirement, for emergencies. Because if there's a bad day in the business, if there's a lawsuit, if there's a death in your family, if somebody gets sick, if your child gets sick, you'll work through almost anything if you're sick. But your child, your head's not in the game. If your spouse passes away and you have a small business, you're not in the game. We protect those people with life insurance. So a big chunk of dollars comes in, gives you time to manage your business, decide if you're going to keep it or not, what your life's purpose is. Because remember, money's job for you to live your life's purpose. That's it. It's not for anything really fancy. I don't know. It's got a job to do. No more, no less.
And all these different factors, it's not pleasant to think about the worst case situation sometimes, but it's better to do it now and figure out a plan, how you're going to respond to it, than be blindsided and have to deal with planning and the tragedy at the same time. If you can get one step done ahead of time, it makes things a little easier later on.
We'll be back, folks, in just a minute as we continue with the Total Financial Hour. I'm Arif Halaby. That's Logan. This is your place for news, talk, and information. This is KHTS, your hometown station. We'll be right back.
It's allergy season again. You've tried it all, yet your sinuses continue to be a problem. Try something different, something holistic, something that will really work. Acupuncture. Kathleen Keneally is Santa Clarita's acupuncture and innate specialist. She's been treating many of your neighbors and their children for allergies, sinuses, headaches, and pain. Find out how acupuncture can improve the quality of your life. Call Kathleen Keneally for a free phone consultation. 252-4100. 252-4100. Acupuncture. It really works.
You might not know the difference between a fade, a pompadour, a cropped fringe, or a faux mohawk, but the Sport Clip Guy Smart Stylists sure do. We know you don't think about haircuts 24/7. That's Sport Clip's job. That's why Sport Clips specializes in haircuts for men and boys. Sport Clips has turned something you have to do into something you want to do. You don't ever need to make an appointment at Sport Clips, and you'll walk out feeling like an MVP guaranteed. Sport Clips at the Santa Clarita location nearest you.
Sweet, salty, tastiest, bacon and pancakiest. Big yawns are okay, yummy syrups, yes way. Butter pecan, blueberry, old-fashioned strawberry. Never empty coffee pot, Mom says it hits the spot. Almonds are the fluffiest, Dad's hugs the scruffiest. Scrambled eggy, pepper shaky, orange juicy, wide awake. Stuffed French toastiest, waffles with the mustiest. Buttermilk is smooth, the silky tastes great. Love on a plate.
IHOP, everything you love about breakfast.
The Las Vegas shooting created awareness for all of us. Awareness to upgrade security at concerts. Awareness for clearly marked exit signs. Awareness on how to evacuate safely. And awareness to have tighter hotel security. The law offices of Owen Patterson Owen are working diligently with Las Vegas victims to prevent future tragedies from occurring, as well as protecting the rights of Las Vegas victims to receive financial assistance for their ordeal. If you know someone impacted by the shooting, visit opolaw.com. That's opolaw.com.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top-quality musicals and plays. Located in Old Town Newhall, the CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go to canyontheater.org.
A royal suite.
For the first time in their history, 50% off everything in the store. It's the huge 40th anniversary sale at a Royal Suite Home Furnishings. Everything, yes, everything is on sale at 50% off. Bedrooms, dining rooms, living rooms, recliners, and Murphy beds, all 50% off. Even their huge selection of mattresses from Diamond and Englander. See their new line of adjustable beds at 50% off. Nothing will be held back. Every item from every manufacturer. Hurry, it's the final day. Everything 50% off at the big 40th anniversary sale at a Royal Suite Home Furnishings in Center Point across from Sam's Club or at aroyalsuite.com.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Thanks for listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. It's all about your money, keeping your retirement safe. I don't mind you having a little bit of risk. You know, we've talked about that before in your retirement, but just understand what it is. You know, a lot of people don't get to the place in life where they can afford risk, right? They get to the place in life where they are gambling and not investing. Ask yourself the difference. What is the difference between gambling and investing? If for you, you can't really delineate the two, then maybe you should back off a little bit, educate yourself a little bit, and find out why and where and how your retirement money should be, right? Maybe it doesn't make sense for you to put all your eggs in one basket. Maybe it does, right? But for most of you, it doesn't. So keep yourself up to date when you're looking at your retirement money. All right, we talked about fees. I want you to be careful. I brought up to you here an important component, which is a client that we had. She put in $200,000. 6 years go by, it's worth $265,000. It's great money, good deal. Today, so she walks in, she says, "Hey, I have $265,000." I said, "Wonderful, you put in $200,000 6 years ago. Great, market's been up, down, up, down. It's been doing great lately. Wonderful, let's take a look. How much of this do you want to make safe?" She said, "I think all of it." I go, "Well, it's your money. You got to decide. It's not something we can." She said, "Well, let's take a look. How well have I done?" So we call up the company. It's a very straightforward phone call. 6 years go by, $42,000 in fees, $65,000 in gains. That means she put $65,000 in her pocket. So that meant the money had to generate somewhere in the neighborhood of $107,000. She just got to keep $65,000 of it.
And honestly, she got off better than some cases we've seen where people pay more in fees than they actually earned over a period of time, or they go backwards.
Yeah, we have seen it where it's kind of heartbreaking, really. We had one that was just in a regular pure mutual fund, and for whatever reason, this is where they put it. You ask them a couple questions. Do you like this account? Do you want to keep this account? And they don't even really understand why they're in that account. Your money has to have a job. The job of this money is for emergencies, as Logan was saying. It's for dinner tonight. It's in your pocket. Money for this, this job of this money is to help you live your life's purpose in retirement, to make sure you can be with your grandchildren, to make sure you can travel the world, help in charities, donate your time, right? Because the reason that most of you, good people, aren't donating your time more is because financially you need to work for a living. So when your food, shelter, clothing comes from your job, then your retirement accounts can go up and down. But over time, as you start getting much closer to retirement, and ultimately your food, shelter, clothing comes from your retirement accounts, you can't afford to lose 10%, 20%, or 50%, or all of it in some folks' case, right? Because you can't go back to work 6 years after you left. Nobody knows you anymore. Technology has changed. You can't go back to work when you're 78 years old because you don't feel the same. Maybe you're not as active. Maybe you hurt. Maybe your back hurts, right? Things change and we go, up, tough luck.
And even if you are able to return to work, it doesn't mean you're going to be returning to something that's equivalent. If you worked as an engineer or a doctor or something when you had a fairly nice income, but it's a position, you have lots of requirements for education and everything, that certifications that have to be kept up. If you're gone for 10 years in retirement and then suddenly have to come back, you're not kept up with what's going on, maybe you're looking more close to something like retail, which still works, still brings in money, but it's pretty far.
Yeah, we had somebody the other day who's an engineer, chief engineer on some of the defense projects. And I said, well, what do you do now? He says, well, my job is to I'm going to say it funny, but it's to put packages together. I said, what do you mean to put packages together? Yeah, my job is to put masking tape around packages, to put them all together, and to mail them, get them ready for mail. He volunteers his time at a great organization. I said, you were making high six-figure income, did what you did, had a consulting firm, worked for yourself, 20 years for this firm, you did all sorts of amazing engineering type feats, just incredible, like a math genius in my opinion. And he says, yep, my job now is just to relax. Well, that's great. His skill set today is far outweighed by the job that he's doing. And because he doesn't get paid or doesn't need to be paid, it doesn't matter. But what about you? I say consider this when you retire, working part-time, doing something, keeping your mind active. Right? A lot of friends work at Dodger Stadium. They love it. They don't make a whole lot of money, but they love it. In concessions, they're delivering things.
And I've known people more local work at College of the Canyons or something for the performances. See a play every so often for free, help out, stay active, make some friends. It's a way to get yourself out of the house.
So there is no reason to just sit around and say, well, at least we're not going to, I'm not going to be valuable. I'm not going to do something for fun. But the financial part of your life, consider keeping some or part of it safe, keeping out of risk. Very important that by and large, for the most part of who you are, money provides the life. Money isn't good. It isn't bad. It doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make you a worse person. It makes you more of the type of person you are. I think money and power. If you are a fast food worker at a restaurant and your whole power is limited to 1 square foot, that's one thing. Become a shift leader or a manager, and your influence is greater. No different than a police officer that becomes a sergeant that becomes a captain. Your financial life, right, everything about you can be emphasized and magnified because you are, if you will, a little bit wealthier. You have money, you have choices. Consider that. Total Financial Solutions, we're here every week. You can go to our Facebook page. You can like us on Facebook. Join up. We have different articles and different stories that go out and different podcasts as well. It's interesting to kind of learn a little bit. Thanks for joining us, Logan. We appreciate you coming on this hour of the program. It's a bit of a surprise for you, but it was good to have you.
All of 10 minutes warning, and I'm here.
Folks, the Total Financial Hour is brought to you by Total Financial Solutions. I'm Arif Halaby, here every week at this time. You can call us at 753-9683,
753-9683. Thanks for joining us.
KHTS, Canyon Country, Santa Clarita.
It's 1 o'clock, time for KHTS National News Power.